Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable, life can be a little bit dark, but we are here to bring you as much light and as much joy as we possibly can. I'm Take One Bradley, because we always get it right first time, just like my presenting partner, Stu. How you doing, Stu?
Not bad, yeah, and we're not recording the second time, and we're not several days late, you know? No, it's all fine.
All good.
Yeah.
Just want to say, by the way, congratulations to that other podcast that won awards this week. Should have been us. And the host of the podcast, kindly, they called me and they said to me, Stu, you never believe what they said. They said, you should have won that. You should have won that award, and I would have given it to you if I could. So, yeah. Fair play. I tried to say we deserved the award, Stu, but, you know.
You're absolutely right, and that's what they should have done, you know.
Yeah. Award should only go to those who campaign for it.
That's right. Our campaign was built on a solid basis of authoritarianism and, you know, all that. Why didn't we win?
It was indeed. I was hoping to host it in my new ballroom and everything, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, you've got that completed now. Is it covered in gold?
Yeah, it's covered in gold. I've got no plans on moving out in a couple of years, so, you know, well, let's build a ballroom.
Might as well do it. Yeah. Sounds like
nothing
a plan.
To do with anything. It's just personal conversation.
Yeah.
No bearing to the real world whatsoever.
Nope. Happening in a vacuum.
You know what else happens in a vacuum, Stu?
What's that?
Filth. Pure and utter filth. But also video games.
Video games. That's right.
I've got more than you.
Boasting again.
I do sound like... I do when I go like that. I do feel like I am him. Sometimes. I've got more than you. I'm better than you.
Yeah. You use too many syllables, though. You couldn't ever be him.
No, not quite. I'm like Poundland. Timu Trump. There you go. I mean, is it hard to... Can you be Timu Trump when he is Timu Trump?
Well, exactly. He's so many levels below Timu already that you cannot move.
Oh, dear. Video games, Stu.
Video games, yeah.
What have I been playing? You've got to ask the question.
What have you been playing?
I've been playing tons. I've been sort of like... Because I've been laid up, I've just been playing game after game. So, at the end, just so everyone's aware... There's going to be a bit of a roundup of a whole bunch of games. I can't even remember what I spoke about, but Stu will introduce it towards the end, and it'll be all in one at the end. But one I can talk about now is called Twinkleby, because as we spoke, life's a bit jarring at the moment. It's all over the place. So what you need is something a bit cosy that you can just relax to, and that's what Twinkleby is. It's along the lines of things like Townscape and things like that, where it's just a pure decoration game. The idea of Twinkleby is that you've got these floating islands, archipelagos, I think it's referred to as.
Archipelagos.
Archipelagos, yes, that might be the right word. Congratulations.
Cheers.
You was Archie something. And yeah, basically...
Archie.
Yeah, Archie the Archipelago. There we go. That's a new character.
Cool.
One of those kids' TV programs. I don't know. Right. Anyway. Twinkleby, Stu. Twinkleby, focus. Let's focus. Yeah, you decorate these islands as you see fit as they're floating through space, and that's basically the game. Different residents move in. You make each island look as lovely as you can. They're like little dioramas. And that's the game. It is like, again, like with a lot of these, there's no real point to it. Like life is simulated on each of these islands and everything. And probably I suppose, unlike some of them, like islands and trains and things like that, there's a progression system in it. So there is a point to sort of like doing different things. So the more you do, the more you unlock. Again, the more you can then do on top of that, etc., etc. And you can discover new places to build on and that kind of thing. And you could give each island its own theme if you really wanted to, or you could do a mishmash of stuff, and you'll see how your neighbours and everything all interact with each other, that kind of thing. It's all lovely and cosy, but then it's just got this really unnecessarily dark twist to it, whereby if you get bored of anything, you can just literally toss it off the end of the island and throw it into space. Houses, furniture, decoration, people, whatever.
Okay.
Just to their eternal damnation. There's nothing about it. It doesn't come across as dark or anything like that. It's just like you get done with it and you're like, off you go into space.
That's quite dark. Yeah, that's dark.
But it's not addressed as anything dark. I was waiting for some kind of maybe horror twist or something like that. No,
Yeah.
just nothing. It's as though they went, well, we've got to find some way of doing this, getting rid. Should we just have a delete button? No. What should we do? Toss them into space.
So weird. It's like Lovecraftian.
It really is. And it's just like, and I know we sort of joke about politics and sort of like we often have a chat about what's going on in the world, but it just feels like, don't show this to any leaders of the world, because you get a feeling someone will look at that and go, blast people into space, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rwanda.
Space Venezuela, yeah.
So, yeah. But no, really, it's a really fascinating. It's got a lovely soundtrack to it. And again, you kind of got, depending on what island you're on and what theme there is, it has different sounds and everything. And they sound different as well, which is a really interesting concept. And as I said, if you can get over this bit of just toss everything into space where you're done, it's just this really lovely, cosy game. And I don't know why they've added it. I feel like I'm missing some kind of meta movement within the game. And I've done some searches, and there's nothing. It's just something you do. But it is a lovely game. If you love decorating things, and you like townscape and things like that, it's another one of those, and it's definitely well worth having. If you want to live out your dictator fantasies as well, I suppose this is for you.
How weird. That's just like, when people create these kind of games, you just assume that they think, like we do, and maybe a bit more towards the liberal side than the left that we are, but, you still think of them as kind of ordinary, nice people.
Honestly, but I don't think, but this is the thing, it doesn't come across, it doesn't feel like there's any intent to it as well. I think, honestly, they don't think, well, that's a cool little fun feature. Like, it's like, I don't know what it is. It's like, there's no underlying tone or anything to it. It's cute. It's cute seeing how it does it. Or I don't know. I do sometimes feel like maybe is this a setup for a bigger game down the line? Are we going to be? Is this like the PT of the indie world? I don't know. Is this really Silent Hills? Who knows?
That would be, if it was a stealth Silent Hills, that would be incredible.
Oh my God, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what I'm now wanting. A Silent Hill themed cozy decoration game.
That would work.
It would, wouldn't it? You've got to create a horror. Oh my God. Get on that, Stu.
All right, I'll get started this afternoon.
Let's get that one built.
Yeah.
Who do we know does good games? Sam Barlow. You can do that.
Yeah,
You've got Silent Hill experience, so
hit him up. Yeah, hit him up.
Mike Biffle must be after something different. He likes to change up every now and again. So on Mike. Not Kojima though. You stay away, Kojima. You're not taking my cozy decoration game and ruining it.
Nah. Not stealing any more of your ideas.
No. Yeah, that's what he does. I think Kojima lives in my head.
I think that's the only rational explanation, to be quite honest.
It's being Bradley Kojima.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
He could make a good being John Malkovich game, I reckon.
I think you're right there. That would actually work. Yeah.
That'd be a proper head fuck of a game.
That really would. Yeah. And if you could throw people off the planet, all the better.
Yeah. But yeah, so right, just to clarify this, it's not some kind of weird commentary game or anything. It's just a cozy game with just this really weird delete mechanic. So yeah, it's lovely. Just
cool.
Yeah.
Sounds all right.
Yeah. What you been playing, Stu?
Well, nothing quite so cozy, and quite an unusual one, but a stealth biggie for the year, which is Absolum. It's a game by Guard Crush, published by .emu, and it's ostensibly a beat 'em up. And I know. Put another one of them. How many of these are you going to play this year? Well, the answer is quite a few. Quite a few.
They make them, you'll play them.
Yeah, precisely. And it's the year of the retro revival for scrolling beat 'em ups, or belt scrollers, however you want to call them. And this one marks itself out as very different in a several ways. The main one being that it's a roguelite, which, is contentious with me, but we'll come to that. The second is that it's gorgeous. It's done in a hand-drawn style, and it looks like a kind of comic book look, but also I'd say like a mix of Disney from the sort of 60s and 70s, so sort of like 101 Dalmatians and Robin Hood and all that. It's got that kind of look to it as well. It looks really startlingly good, which helps a great deal with the immersion. And you can choose from 2 characters at the start, and you've got to progress through the levels and fight bosses, so all that you'd expect. But it's mapped out on islands, and there are, not only are there different routes that you can opt to take, but there are also secret routes, and you can unlock routes as well, and it's all part of the story. It's very layered, which is great. And control-wise, it's as you'd expect in terms of a beat 'em up, but you obviously gain different abilities as you go along, and you can earn things that will allow you to purchase abilities, and there's an absolute ton of them. It's packed full of it. And one of the things that I don't find roguelites get right often enough is parceling out when you develop and how quickly you develop in terms of your skills and your powers.
Yeah.
And I think this does it very, very well. It's a big game. It's a very long game, but it manages to portion them out really well so that you don't feel like you're going too long between any adjustment. It's got a very Dungeons and Dragons-y theme in that there's lots of different creatures in the world, anthropomorphized, which really keeps the mix of things up, because not only do they act differently and look differently, and they play differently and they attack differently, but aesthetically they're very different, and there's tons of classes. Basically, it really feeds in well, and some of them work exceptionally well and are part of an influence from other games in a only positive way. Like when it introduces sort of the undead, which is not really a spoiler. That feels very Guardian Heroes, and there's so many homages to other like classic beat 'em ups.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible to keep track of them. But yeah, so it's got this. It's beautifully themed. It's got an interesting storyline that you can keep track of just by reading the odd bit of text. So it's not overblown or overwhelming. A little bit like Hades, as you'd expect. There's Hades influences in there as well. But gameplay-wise, definitely, as I say, Guardian Heroes, but even more so, Dragon's Crown is a big influence, and Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mystara, which is a big Capcom one. So what's outstanding about it? Well, there's quite a few things that are outstanding about it, but one of the main things that is outstanding about it is the level of technical competence that you need to play it. So it starts off, you can fight your way through, not easily, but with a reasonable level of challenge until you get to a boss and they get your clocks cleaned and, you're totally wiped out, as you'd expect. But then as it goes along and it introduces more enemies and more powers, and both on your side and the enemy side, you have to really balance out how you play, and you have to work out when to dodge, when to try and parry, and you are a glass cannon. You can die really, really quickly, especially early on. So you've got to be completely precise. Your crowd management has to be top tier for you to get through. And you've got to learn your boss encounters. You've got to not memorize them, but you've got to get really good at your timings and all of that. And it kind of has that level of sophistication that you'd expect in a Souls-like, but without it being a Souls-like, which is great. I thought that I'd get fed up of playing through the same levels again and again, but because they're so lovely looking, and because things change up and then these different routes appear, I haven't got bored of it after about, 15 hours or so I've been playing. And I can get in a run, I can get right towards the end now, which takes quite some doing. But it's just in a year where we've actually been pretty, spoiled for these types of games. It's still a standout. It's really accomplished, technically polished, great fun, beautiful to look at, technical as hell, and I've only been playing it in single player. It's got 2-player, and you can eventually play with several different characters for variety and build them up. Overall, it's definitely one of the best games I've played this year, I would say.
Yeah, I had a look at this and it kicked my ass. I went, I'm going to have to go back to this at some point because it's kicking my ass.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helps that I've been playing Hades, and even though maybe there's a similar structure there, they are obviously completely different games in how you fight, and so on and so forth. So that probably doesn't help me at the moment. And when I saw it was from .mu, obviously straight away, that's a green flag in a game that they've got such a good reputation. What I found interesting with this was I actually, like, when I'm looking at it and the way it's approached and the lore background, everything it's got going into it and everything, the way the story is, I assumed this was from some kind of property, maybe not one I've heard of or anything like that, which a lot of the .mu games are, but it's completely original. And it really surprised me how in-depth it is for a completely original game that sort of came out with, I want to say, little fanfare. Obviously, people who are into .mu games and into the genre were aware of this, but it's not come out with any real fanfare as well, which it's not a red flag as such, but it's kind of like I wasn't expecting as much depth to the background in it. But yeah, it's a really interesting game, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's strange, it's kind of a bus situation, several coming along at once. I think with this 2D retro revival when it comes to side scrollers, that's kind of maybe Shinobi coming out before it and Ninja Gaiden before it, and then people waiting for Marvel Cosmic Invasion might have eaten its lunch a little bit, but it's one of those. It's so good. I think it's hopefully going to have legs, and hopefully be in a lot of people's end of year best of conversations at least, because it really is that good. Yeah, no,
I say I've not played much of it, and I'm not very good at it at the moment. But it's one of those that's in my Steam library. I have a section which is a must play that I haven't got round to yet, and that's in there of about 6 other games at the moment. But it's one I'm definitely wanting to try and get through as much as I can with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely one to check out.
Excellent. Right, 2 more from me that we'll talk about now. Both will be quite quick because I just go play them. It is the message on both of these. The first one is Strange Antiquities, which is a sequel of sorts to a game called Strange Horticulture, which was a point-and-click puzzle stroke detective game whereby mysteries happened, or you was discovering and sort of like working out how to use different types of flora, to sort of like uncover mysteries and the story and everything. And what you've got here in Strange Antiquities is essentially the same concept, the same basic structure, but instead of like nature and stuff this time, it's to do with ancient and some more modern antiques. I know modern antiques is a weird idiom, but you get what I mean. It's like some really old stuff and some slightly newer, older stuff.
Yeah.
And in this, you've got your shop, and you've got to sell things as well, and that sort of like it covers the issues. You've got this coffee talk-esque thing going on. There's this detective element to it, this puzzle element to it, and it's as slow or fast-paced as you want in a way. And so you can burn through the game really, really quickly if you want to, but and it doesn't really punish you for it. Sort of like bang, 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 I'm going to ignore some of the story, just do puzzles. You can do that, but you get the most of it from doing all the full conversation interactions, taking your time, actually reading about the different antiques, doing full exploration and things like that. Not everything is like set out in stone. So you got like you might have a character you interact with, and what you do is you could either sort of like really be a beneficial to them, or you could actually be a stumbling block for them. So you could like your decisions have an effect on the characters and their stories as well. And it's really, really well put together, and sort of like your role as a shopkeeper is like almost anonymous in a way, which is good, allows you to concentrate on the characters who are important in the game. And yeah, it's just one of those games. I really enjoyed the first. I don't think it got as much love as it deserved in terms of sales and things like that. Even though it was a critical success. It's the same with this. It's definitely a critical success. I wanted to, again, I like doing checking afterwards. It's in the 80s on Metacritic. It's getting overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So a lot of people are in my way of thinking with this. And I hope this one maybe gives the studio, who are Bad Vikings, who made this. I hope this gives them the success both games deserve, because both are excellent and are standouts in a year where it's not the best game of the year. It can't be when you look at some of the heavy hitters that have come out. But it's one of the best of that type of games I've played this year. And it really deserves the love, and I do hope it gets it.
Marvellous, yeah. I suppose it might be a little... I don't know, a little bit out there. Not out there, but you know what I mean? A bit of a niche.
It is, yeah. It's not quite point and click, so you've not got your point and click aficionados. It's not a full-on puzzler. It's not a full-on visual novel. It's a mix of all of that. So you kind of, I think you almost lose out on those that love those individual genres. And then you're not going to get your basic Call of Duty crowd involved in it. It's definitely an indie lovers game. People who like what the indie's doing now. It's definitely a game that those love, but that's a niche within a niche. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it does. It deserves to do well.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. Yeah, I hope it doesn't sort of go under the radar, and then several years down the line someone steals the ideas and they're like, oh yeah, this is great, and then the developers are sitting there going, yeah, we did this years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. Which would be an absolute shame, and it happens all too often, unfortunately. Yeah. So, moving on, my last one I'm going to talk about now, before Stu does editing magic, is a game called SOPA, The Tale of the Stolen Potato, which is just a beautiful game. It's an adventure, family-friendly adventure, which... Right, it's a really basic like adventure game, and it's really well told. The thing that's going to stand out is not the gameplay as such or anything. That's fairly standard. What's going to stand out is the moment you boot this game up and the visuals. It is beautiful. It is like clay, like stop motion had a baby with some of like Pixar's more adventurous work. And this is what came out. It's like this beautiful sort of like South American stylized thing. Like the closest thing I can put it visual style is... did you ever see Coco, Disney Pixar, when they done Coco?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like it's the Day of the Dead stuff, wasn't it? It's almost got that kind of look to it. But it's not that. It's not like you're not watching it playing it and going, oh, I'm playing Coco. But you kind of got, there's an influence there of that. It's definitely got some traditional Japanese animation. So Studio Ghibli based stuff, not anime as such, but that Ghibli style animation. It's kind of got an element of that in there as well. And I say it's got an element of Wallace and Gromit in terms of movement. Again, not the visual style. It's not a full on, oh, this is a stop motion, but it's kind of, it gives you that feel towards it. The characters are completely, you know, definitely animation characters. They're not like designed to look realistic, and it's beautiful. The environments are stunning. You can really see this is a Latin American setting, and it takes you into this fantasy world. All the character animations are there. The interactions are all there. The fantastical nature of it all is all there. As I said, the gameplay itself is standard. It's not bad. It's not, oh my god, game changing. It knows what it is and it does that well. But it's the storytelling, it is the atmosphere, it is the visuals that just turn this into, do I want to use the word masterpiece? And that's why it's there. I'm not quite sure if it's masterpiece, but it is so close. There is something about this game. There's the innocence of it, of going into this wonderfully fantastical journey based on something that's so mundane in a way. Sort of like, it reminds me of how in Labyrinth, she goes on this wonderfully fantastical journey based on an off-the-cuff comment because she's stressed with her baby brother. And this is the kind of thing, you're asked to go and get the potatoes and then stuff happens and you just kind of like, almost like Lion Witch of the Wardrobe stuff. You go through this like magical door and all of a sudden you're in this whole new world. And it's just, I just got taken along. And if this was an actual movie and this was done by Pixar or Ghibli or something like that and was put out at the cinemas, I honestly think this would be one of those where it would be Oscar bait. That's where I am with this. If you look at Flow, was it that came out last year or earlier this year?
Yeah.
And the magicalness that had and just like took everyone because of how beautiful it was and like what it actually brought with it. This does exactly the same. There's a childlike wonder to this game that just makes you sort of like want to go along with it. There's like 2D elements in the way it moves. It's like obviously all still 3D, but on like that 2D movement plane, you've got these 3D into the camera elements and everything. It's slow paced where it needs to be. It has action where it needs to be. You're into the fantasy world, back into the real world. Interactions with your grandma are so wholesome. They are beautiful. And I just absolutely adore this game. And whereas I said about Strange Antiquities maybe not finding its audience yet, it's still got enough sort of like views so it's overwhelmingly positive. Like on Steam, there's 7 user reviews for this and it came out at the beginning of October. If you do anything this month and you've got a game to buy this. Please do buy this. It is amazing.
Yeah, it certainly does look it. I'm really tempted myself, even though I've got no money. It's just, it looks wonderful. So is it in the game of the year sort of conversation in that sort of sphere?
It is so stacked that unfortunately it's not going to touch, like, as a game, it's not up there with the likes of Hades, Claire Obscure, or anything like that. As an overall thing, it's on the honourable mention territory. When you look at, say, like, what's my top 5 and stuff, is it there? Not quite, but that's an exceptional list of games. Had this come out maybe last year or the year before, yeah, I think we're definitely putting it right in there.
Cool.
But, yeah, it's going to be, I would say, my hidden gem of the year. Because when people talk, you see the hidden gem YouTube videos, this is one that should be in every hidden gem video that's out there because it's that good and unfortunately that unknown.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's one I'll definitely check out.
But unfortunately, that's not the... fortunately for you, Stu, you don't have to listen to me talk about any more games. Unfortunately for the listener, there's another probably half hour of me coming up.
Lucky them.
So look, whole bunch of games that I've been playing where we've been stuck. Some exceptional games in that list there as well that that you really do need to play, including one that's been sort of like, again, is getting some of the attention. He's looking for, people are looking forward to, and that's Ball X Pit. That's in there. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is in there. And a couple of others that I can't remember what I actually spoke about. But yeah, listen to those. Lots of good games. We are eating well as indie gamers, Stu. Eating well.
Oh, it's been a landmark year, definitely. It's been superb. Yeah.
Right, so listen to that. And as promised, here are a selection of games I've been playing these past few weeks and I want to cover. First up is a game called Bilppo Plus, which I'm still at odds on how to describe this. It was originally a Playdate game. For anyone who doesn't know what Playdate is, it's a little device with a crank that had like games in it that made use of the crank, the buttons, and loads of little, just cool little games that you could play. And one of those on there was called Bilppo, and it's essentially it's a game about channel surfing, like a 90s TV, watching it channel surfing. And in Bilppo Plus, that's basically what you get. You kind of get this TV channel type thing that you can watch, and it's got various different like news items, soaps, talk shows are on there, all kinds of different things, and you kind of like you go through, you watch it, you uncover secrets, there's different stories going on, different characters you get to know. There is a point to the game, but there's also not a point to the game. It's one of those things that you've just got to play. You've just got to go and play it and discover this for yourself, because I don't think I've ever played anything like this before. And you'll get a lot of people go, is it a game? Is it not a game? It is what it is. It's one of those, it's an experience that you can't get anywhere else. And you know, it's not traditional games, you know, here's a level and this is what you've got to be, or even here's a story and this is where it's going to go, or even like the walking simulators where you're kind of discovering things as you go. It's found its own thing. My first theme was, oh, maybe it's a bit like Immortality, but Immortality's got a point to it where you're trying to put together this mystery, and you kind of got to do it from clips, and you discover around, and there's a whole point to it. So Barlow does a brilliant job. This isn't even that. This is almost like a simulator, but it's not as well, because it feels like there's something going on, but it never kind of shows you what that could be. And yeah, I just found myself having a really interesting time with it. I wouldn't say a great time or a good time, or sort of like, I don't know how I came out feeling. It's very mature in some of its themes, and again, it's not in that, oh look, there's boobs and swearing mature. It actually has mature themes in terms of, if you're a child, I don't think you're going to understand it. If you're a young teen, I don't think you're going to understand it. It's something where, of our generation, like the 40 plus generation, where you've lived through this kind of TV, you're going to feel something, playing it, watching it, whatever you want to describe it as. But it's an excellent game, and if you're after something a bit different that takes you against the run of the mill, definitely check this out. If you've got a Playdate, obviously you're probably aware of this. If not, play it on Playdate, get it. But the PC version, which I played on Steam Deck, is really good. In hindsight, I think it'd be great if I had this on the big telly. I was flipping through, but yeah, in Steam Deck it plays really well. Headphones on, lose yourself into like a little portable TV, I suppose. But yeah, really, really interesting game. Next up is another game that's really, it's like kind of dragged me away from Hades 2 a little bit, and I'm surprised it managed to do it, because there's not much that's been able to drag me away from that game in the last couple of weeks.
This is Ball X Pit.
And what you've got here is a kind of Arkanoid breakout style game, but done as a roguelike. Now, I know some people are going to be lost. Oh my God, it's a roguelike. Another one. But again, it's one of those games that does something really interesting with the genre. So essentially, you are put into this pit, and it's like it's a well, like a Tetris style well, and you've got things that are coming down the screen at you, and you fire off balls like in Breakout, and it'll bounce off in different places, destroying them. And every time you sort of like get enough points, like a Vampire Survivors type thing, the more you pick up like little XP bonuses and stuff like that, you unlock better weapons, buffs, debuffs, all that kind of thing that help you sort of like to chain together better attacks, defend better, throw off more sort of like balls you can fire into the pit and stuff like that. And you have so many different variants of how you can play this game that it's all about learning those different strategies, the different things that come together really well. And I had a great time, really did have a great time with it. It's a mix of... So Ball X Pit is a mix of Shatter, which I think is one of the best Arkanoid Breakout clones, not clones, type games out there. Really enjoyed High Score Chaser. And there was, I can't remember the name of the game, but it was one where you kind of, again, it was like you had to sort of like drop a ball into it and it bounced around the level, and you had to sort of like knock down the like the coloured shapes and by how many bouncies it was and stuff like that. It's got a mix of that in there as well. So you're looking at, can I get up and in behind this one and bounce up and around and do everything from the top? While also trying to stop like the things coming down, almost Space Invader-y, like coming down and hitting the bottom of the screen, doing damage, and obviously if you take too much damage, you're dead. And I've been playing this on and off. It's a great one, sort of like I've been finishing Hades, and then I'll have maybe half an hour on this. It's just a slight different, maybe settle down game. And it is engaging. It's not as full on as say something like Hades where you're like bang, 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 concentrate on everything on the screen. This is very much right, I can send my ball off, do the bits, and just wait for it to do its bit, come back down and build on strategies. And I say a wasted run is never a wasted run because you will gradually unlock buffs, debuffs, items, etc., powers that you can then use in other runs. You can strategize, you can try out different things. So it's got that really good hook of the gameplay simple, and you can see the end game with it. But how you get there is where it becomes really, really interesting, and strategizing and learning. Oh, you've got this new thing. How can that work? How does it work? It's what my favourite builds are. And does it integrate? Do I leave this? And it works really, really well. And again, it's another one where I've seen these roguelike games come and go. And like I think I mentioned Clover Pit a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was a really good one. But I got to a point where I finished that, and I got to a point where I got out the room and I was like, I feel like I'm done now. I feel like I've seen what I need to see from that game. Still excellent, but it was short. A Ball X Pit is up there with the likes of maybe a Slay the Spire, of a Hades or a Dead Cells, where the further I get, the more I want to go back and do another run. I want to play it again and again and again and again. And that's the real hook of a great roguelike, that you want to go back, even if you want to finish it, so to speak. You want to go back and how does this other strategy work? Can I build on that? There's so many layers to it, and it is honestly really, really, really good. And it'll be another one that can sit probably on your Steam Deck time and time again. And if I'm right, I think it has a Tate mode as well. Meaning that you can play it horizontal, vertical screen as well. But don't hold me to that. I might be wrong because I've only played it sort of like normal. But yeah, really good. Another great addition. That's a Ball X Pit. My second FMV game of the week, Bilppo Plus being the first, is the Fame game, Welcome to Hollywood. Now, this one's been out a while compared to some of the others I've been playing, but I've just kind of not got round to being able to talk about it yet. And this is... it's an interesting game. It's like typical FMV in many, many ways, where you've got sort of like different sort of like acted scenes, and you interact with them. And you take the role as Jonathan, and your idea is to try to find romance within Hollywood. So it's kind of like a dating game kind of thing. And sort of like, but it's also set. It's set in a soap, and it's done in a very daytime TV soap kind of way. The acting is something within it. It's not taking itself seriously. I like that. And again, it kind of goes down that route of contradiction, spot the liar, where it hams it up, and it plays with it like really well. So yeah, you kind of play this character, and you kind of got to like interact with like all these women, and to try and date them, as well as other things that happen within the game. And you want to try and become like the leading man of this soap opera. And it's interesting. I think it's a very niche game. It's for people who like interactive fiction, who like the FMV games. And surprisingly, this isn't by Wales Interactive. So you can tell there's a slight, as good as it is, it lacks something that the Wales Interactive games have. You know, they've really sort of not perfected the genre over the years, but you know what you're getting with those. You know they're a quality game. This is, but it lacks at times a little bit of the polish you get with those. But it doesn't take away from the experience as such. And again, with these FMV style games, you've kind of got to, you either know if you like them or you don't. You know, you're not going to be, if you're someone who's not into any of the other FMV, you're not going to jump into this and go, oh, that's going to change my mind. It is a niche game for a niche audience. And I love these games. I love the hammy acting. I love that they're a bit janky in places, a bit stilted in places. And I think setting it in a soap opera really adds to that, so to speak, because that acting in, especially American daytime soaps, is very hammy anyway, and has a certain type of acting to it. And I think this like lends to it really, really well. It's definitely something that I would like to see expanded on. Like the Fame game, Welcome to Hollywood, is a great, I think, opening for a potential series, especially with where the story goes and stuff like that. So I would almost quite like to see an actual soap opera video game that comes out in different segments and stuff like that, just to see where it goes, because soap operas do become a bit of a guilty pleasure for some, and this kind of does go to that as well, and sort of plays into that really well. And I can see this, if you could get a regular cast on board, that this could be something that could like span out over a number of years. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a really good, interesting take on the FMV genre. Had a good time with it. I would say not quite as good as some of the others I've played, but then I've played a lot of them, and there were some exceptional ones. But yeah, this is pretty good. Next up, as we're coming into spooky season, is a game called Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, which I want to kind of describe as this war of mine, but lighter. So if anyone who's played this war of mine, it's a survival game set during a war, where every action you take can mean permanent death, and the story's going on, and different characters you get to meet, and it is an emotionally draining game that has, you've really got to be in the right frame of mind to play it. It has great mechanics in terms of you go out and you scavenge for food or supplies to try and help everyone survive in your base set during like a war-torn time. And it is devastating. It really is a devastating game. But what you get with Into the Dead is that kind of same mechanics that you got in this War of Mine, but instead of it being totally depressing and hard to get through emotionally. It goes a bit lighter where you're in a zombie apocalypse instead, which surprisingly is a lighter theme. So it's the same thing. You sort of like a couple of survivors, and you get to choose your starting survivors, and they've got different skill sets and stuff like that. You set up base, you scavenge for food, for supplies, so you can upgrade the base. And then you send some maybe have to build like the barricades. You might send someone out and they go do some scavenging. You might find other survivors. You choose whether to bring them back to your base. And again, you put everyone to work. You set the jobs, and then you set the time forward. So you might have some sleeping, some are cooking, some are building a barricade, someone scavenging. And then like the stuff that's done in the base is done automatically when you progress time. If you send someone out to do a scavenge, then you do that scavenge yourself. So it goes from base management and team management, resource management to exploration. And you move through the levels, or through like these new places that you find. You find food, you find items, you might find weapons. And like weapons are very finite and they break easily. So again, you need to scavenge to find weapons or the resources to build weapons, as well as getting food, enough food to help everyone survive, or cook it up so everyone gets enough food, managing that everyone sleeps. But as you're going, you might find a new survivor, or you come across zombies. You've got to decide, can you take on the zombies, or do you need to run? Do you take on some of the zombies, go back, and then go back on a different night to try and get what you can? And each place you go to might have a lookout, which then might show you somewhere else you can go. There's secrets and stories within the games. It's a really, really well put together game that still has, as with this War of Mine, it's permadeath and all that is in there as well. And you really sort of like, can I risk this? Do I want to risk this? What do we do? Can I afford to give this person food at the expense of this person? This person needs to sleep, but we then do we have enough people to go and scavenge to get more food? Is it worth risking someone becoming overtired or collapsing of starvation for the greater good? So you've got all these moral questions that do come into the game and do make you think. It's not just a case of I'll go through, blast through and try again. Because again, someone dies, they're dead. That's it, they're out of your game. And they've all got backstories and you get to know them. So it's not just a case of, oh, here's character A, B, C. You actually get to know them as people within the game, and you grow bonds with them. They grow bonds with other characters. And all of a sudden, it's not just a case of, oh, we can sacrifice Dave because he's near death anyway. But Dave might have this really strong relationship with a couple of the other characters. And would they really sacrifice him, or would they sacrifice themselves possibly to help Dave to go out? You know, if you've got someone who's young there, or like a child, do you want to protect them? You know, do you bring back the old person who could be near death? They're going to be a bigger drain on your resources. You've got to still make really, really tough decisions. And I joke that it's a lighter game than this War of Mine, because, you know, that is the extreme. But you still build that sense of, like, what's your moral compass? And how would you deal with it during an event like this? And it's done really, really well. And it will get a lot of stuff like, oh, it's horror, it's coming up to Halloween, and it's a great one for horror and stuff like that. The horror isn't in jump scares, it's not in the darkness or anything like that. Myself, I don't find that stuff scary. It's just not, you know, I still jump and stuff like that at jump scares because that's the nature of how we are. It's a jump scare. Doesn't mean it's scary. But this has a sense of dread to it of, you really have to ponder, you really have to think about your actions and how it affects people. And it has this overbearing sense of dread across the game. Where the zombies are a threat, and they do become more of a threat. But then, I think, like you see with a lot of these stuff, what is the greatest enemy? Is it the zombies, or is it human nature? Is it us? Are we the greatest threat to ourselves? It has got these questions with it, and it handles it, I think, really, really well for what is essentially framed as just a horror game, on the outset, actually goes very, very deep. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Again, it's not like I had a lovely time with it, because it is difficult to play in places. But as I say, for something that isn't just going, oh, look, scary, I think it does a great job. And yeah, I'm really impressed by it. Finally, for me this week on this quick roundup, is something is actually a bit lighter, and it's called Little Rocket Lab, where the idea is basically you've got you live in this place, and it's kind of like an automation RPG, and you want to build a rocket, and to do so, you've got to build these different factories and sort of like automate them so that you get the bits you need to eventually build this rocket that will take you places. But because it's an RPG as well, it's not just the automation that goes with it. It's also building friendships with people within sort of like your town, village, whatever you want to call it. And sort of like using those people to help you maybe, and build the friendships, and maybe what could they bring for you. And essentially to sort of like, it's your family's dream to get this rocket built and to sort of like, you know, get it going. And it's a great concept. The idea behind it is really well done. It's kind of like a Satisfactory in a way, but in a much smaller scale, which I really, really like, with a clear objective to the end. This isn't a game that's due to last you 100, 150, 200 hours like a Satisfactory and completely lose yourself in. There's a clear goal and sort of like objectives that you need to meet, much more like an RPG. And it's told from like this isometric top-down view, very sort of like cozy graphics, like that kind of look, bright colours, almost like a Stardew Valley-esque visual splash to it. But the blueprints and the things you build are as in-depth as anything you'll get in a proper automation game, like a full automation game. And it really, really works. And again, optimization is important, but you're not overly punished for not having the ideal optimization. The idea is to progress the story. So the story is like first and foremost. And, you know, if you want to sort of like start optimizing, you can, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. And it's a game that really sort of, it flows really well. You never really find yourself getting bogged down in one particular element. So to compare this, Oddspark, which I thought was an absolutely brilliant automation game, had moments in there where you got really bogged down and progression didn't feel like it was happening. It improved the more early access went on and stuff like that, but it still had those moments just absolutely bogging you down. This doesn't. This flows really, really well. But I think the trade-off for that is that there's less to do in terms of building and sort of like automating and stuff like that. There's less recipes overall that you would get in a Satisfactory or an Oddsparks. It kind of offsets those for progression and flow. Just like it comes together really, really well. I think it's something like, if you're into automation of factory games, I think there's something there for you. If you're there into Stardew Valley and want something that's different to just growing crops, there's something there for you as well. It's a really interesting game, and it's a really good budget title. I think it's about 12, 13 quid, something like that. And sort of like the time I've had with it has been an absolute joy. And it works really well on Steam Deck as well, which I think is really important for a game like this. There's some that don't really work great, but this works really good with controls, not just keyboard and mouse, like set up on the Steam Deck. It's actually like natural controls, controller controls as well. And it's just really satisfying when you see something come together. It all works really, really well. And yeah, one that came a bit out of nowhere for me. Dropped into my inbox, played it, and I think I was not sure. It's another Stardew Valley type game. But I got into it within about 20, 30 minutes of playing. I was like, yeah, this has got something. I'm really glad I played it. Really enjoyable game. Highly recommended to anyone that likes to say the aforementioned. If you like automation, if you like Stardew Valley, if you like an RPG, pick it up. It's worth having. And that's it from the roundup stuff. Back over to Stu and maybe Brad, just to take you out.
Well, there you go. There's like half an hour of your life you're never going to get back. Lucky you. And nah, that's not fair.
Always, you can go back to it as many times as you want.
Oh my God, can you imagine? That's like the definition of hell. That's doing the same thing over and over again. It's like psychosis.
It is, and it's there was no one to interrupt me. I'm impressed that I kept it to about half hour, Stu, with no one to interrupt me to go, Brad.
Yeah, turn it in. Yeah, no, that's not bad. It could have been 6 hours. It
could have been the War and Peace of video game reviews.
It could have been. It would.
I've never read War and Peace.
Do you know? Neither have I.
No, it's one of those you just know of it. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know what the film's about. The film, the books. I don't even.
I think it's a book, and there are films of it. But yeah, no, I assumed...
For a long time, I thought it was... What's that Bruce Willis thing? That War of the Roses or whatever it's called?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was something to do with that.
So I think tonally they're quite different.
Yeah. Was that him and Sybil Shepherd? I know they was in Moonstruck together, but was that him and Sybil Shepherd in that film as well?
Moonlighting.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it was Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, I think.
No, that's Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yes. War of the Roses was Michael Douglas, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, because it was the reuniting after Jewel of the Nile, wasn't it?
Underrated film.
Yep.
People don't like it. I fucking love that film.
Yeah, there you go. Bit of film history.
Danny DeVito.
A classic. Always Sunny.
Do you know what? Right, just very, very quickly. The Jewel of the Nile and Romance in the Stone films. Danny DeVito, that was, if you look back at his stuff that he's done, that was probably the closest glimpse to modern Danny DeVito in It's Always Sunny that you got. There was something slimy and smarmy about him in those films that you get in Frank in It's Always Sunny. Yeah. Anything with Danny DeVito's good.
It is. Did you ever see We're really going off on a tangent now, but have you ever seen Taxi, the series he was in? Yeah. He's great in that as well.
Yeah, him and Christopher Lloyd.
That's right. Judd Hirsch.
Yeah, that's it.
That was a great,
it wasn't
great
very
cast.
good Taxi, but it was carried by its cast.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'd say it's not very good. It's dated, shall we say.
Yes.
It's kind of got that Saturday Night Live humour where you go back and watch old ones of that and you just go, ooh, yeah, that's not aged well.
Yeah, I think there were bits of it and episodes of it that were better than others.
Yeah.
I have to go back.
Not as good as MASH. MASH was brilliant.
MASH was brilliant.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that probably is enough time.
Yeah, I think in terms of Taxi, Taxi for us too, really.
Yeah, Taxi! It's what the audience are saying. So, yes.
What audience?
Nice one. Anyway, so yes. As usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you're checking out the content on the website. Join us on Patreon if you want to chat. And did I say Patreon? I did. I didn't mean that. I meant...
But do Patreon. Patreon.com/mental health gaming. I forgot who we was then.
That's who we are. Yeah. Patreon. Do the Patreon. Join us on Discord. And if we can get things right, then next week you'll see you. And until then, stay safe and stay sane.